next chapter is going to be about Ghostface.
Really? That's surprising.
That developer stream, holy crap. We saw a lot of good information coming out of that stream. Oh, I don't even know where to begin. I had to literally take notes because there was just so much information for me to cover, and I wanted to do my own thoughts and opinions on this. So, my girlfriend and I, we went to the mountains. Just a little bit of an intro here. I managed to grab some things for my new upcoming project, so I needed to grab just one of many sticks for the project. You guys probably already have an idea of what it's probably going to be just based off of me collecting a shit ton of sticks. It's obviously, I've told you guys it's going to be Dead by Daylight related, so I'm looking forward to doing that over this summer. It's just one of many things that I need for the project. Alright, so now that that's out of the way, let's get started on the developer stream here. So straight away, the intro for this stream reminds me a lot like a Halloween Horror Nights kind of intro. Are familiar with Halloween Horror Nights, but it's basically when Universal Studios converts their theme park into a more Halloween theme. They have mazes and things like that, scare actors, and I always appreciated what Halloween Horror Nights does, even though the lines can be a little atrocious, because the art that goes behind these costumes, the makeup, the art that goes behind the mazes, just all of it is just amazing. Like, it's Dead by Daylight amazing. So when they were playing the intro, the music, the vibe, kind of the whole thing just kind of sounded like something out of Halloween Horror Nights. So yeah, I just want to start off by saying how much, I mean, you guys have already heard me plenty, how much I appreciate this game. Like, I mean, the fact that the community comes out full force when it comes to cosplay and things like that for this game is just goes to show you that this game has a very strong community behind it. I mean, hopefully when the developers, they may have already seen some of my videos and have probably gotten pissed off that I've leaked out, you know, the developer build and how to acquire it, but know that I do it out of love, honestly, and because the community wants that kind of information, even though we're not supposed to have it. Just know that I do it because it's home, man. So yeah, no hard feelings, devs. I just do this because I love tampering with games that I love. I love getting into the juicy details and all that kind of stuff, and just seeing the kinds of arts that you guys have done, and where I can give it to the community, where be it, you know, VR chat, so you can actually play as that killer and fuck around with people, you know, things like that nature. So top notch, guys. Okay, and the other thing, starting off with the intro to the video, is this is a personal opinion. Most people will probably strongly disagree with me, but I don't know why they had a band on the stage. Personally, again, personal opinion, is I found that it was a little bit of a cringe. The band didn't really relate to anything remotely to the Dead by Daylight theme, at least what they were playing, in my opinion. So I was hoping it was, or well, I was assuming it was going to be more of like a metal band or something, or that would fit the Dead by Daylight theme, even industrial or something along that lines. But it wasn't particularly. I wasn't a particular fan of it. So that's just me, though. So now let's get into the actual juicy bits, going by start to finish. I'm not going to cover every single thing, but mainly the details that came out most to me. So we're going to start off with optimization here. And so with optimization, I'm a little bit disappointed with optimization, but at the same time, I'm happy for it. What I'm most negative about it is that they didn't really sound like they were making any type of graphical settings for the game. Right now, all we really have is resolution and resolution scale, and I don't think that's really enough. Well, I think there are some settings, but it goes from like very low to medium to high to ultra, and that's really not enough. I want more advanced settings in terms of like what to actually modify, like in terms of maybe textures or the models, or you get what I'm saying, or anti-aliasing, things like that. I get it. Maybe they don't do that because there's a fine line of how much you can lower the graphical settings before it becomes kind of a cheat where you can see where survivors are, and I get that. So maybe that's a lot of the reason why they don't do that, and so I can understand that point of view. However, they did talk about the lag spike issues that they're currently tweaking and fixing. I am a victim of this. Currently, you guys can see on my Twitch my specs for my computer, but I have a i7 6700, I have a 1070. It's not the best in the world, but I should not be getting lag spikes, or at least with the system that I have. So when I usually experience this is when I'm hitting survivors, and or if I get hit by a killer, I'll get a really quick lag spike, and then that really ruins whether or not I can detect where the survivor's going to go, what he's going to do, even for that very split second, because your screen freezes. So if they're next to a pallet, you don't know how quick or how close you are to that pallet, or how far away from you are from that pallet before you get hit or stunned by it. So depending on the situation, that could really affect gameplay, and I'm glad that they're going to resolve this, and they're currently resolving it. So that's one for optimization. Good on that. Now let's talk about Survive with Friends. They kind of vaguely touched up a little bit on this, but it seems like they're going to be adding a menu to add all your friends within the dedicated server within Dead by Daylight. So you don't have to necessarily use like the PS4 interface or the Xbox interface or Steam per se to invite your friends, I assume. When I was looking into this, I was assuming maybe that they were also going to have like a cross-platform kind of thing. At least that's what it sounded like they were going to go with, but it doesn't really sound like they really talked about much when it comes to cross-platform, which I'm kind of upset about because I got a few coworkers that play the game that I would very much like to play with, but they're PS4. So hopefully in the future maybe we will have cross-play capabilities, and that would be very cool for us PC console users. So kind of like a Rocket League kind of thing, if you will. So mobile. We're going to talk about mobile now. So yes, when I heard the news on the forums that they were going to go to Nintendo Switch, I didn't think there was going to be any hope for actual mobile devices. This means phones, iPods, what have you. But it turns out they actually announced that it's also going to be coming to phones, mobile phones, so that's really cool. Again, though, as I've discussed in my other video, which I will probably link up there, about the predatory things that could happen with mobile versions of the app, like basically pay-to-win aspects. However, we will get later into the video about how I don't think that's going to be the case, because they introduced the Game Pass thing that we've seen leaked, and I will discuss that a little bit later. But it's still the possibility. Again, when we talk about mobile apps in general, when we talk about them, is that they are only in it to make a profit, and so when they develop these mobile apps, they usually put in like paywalls or some kind of thing to get the user to pay money to play the game. It's the unfortunate reality of it. I get it, businesses have to make a buck, but it ruins and degrades the quality of the game, as well as your I guess I don't know what the word is for it, but your quality as a developer company. So I don't know, only time will tell once the mobile app actually comes out, and then I can give my honest opinion on it, but that's just my speculation. It doesn't mean that I'm all for this. I'm just saying that this is what I think is going to happen, but it isn't necessarily true. Okay, and now with the mobile stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the archive. So the archive, this is the biggest, juiciest, just jaw-dropping thing for me. I love the way this sounds. Because I'm a big lore guy when it comes to my video games, and especially when it comes to something like Dead by Daylight over here. Like, oof, like, I'm sorry, I loved what I heard from the archive. So the archive, what it does is it basically expands our lore with the video game, as well as gives us objectives, so such as missions and things like that. Kind of like it's like single player missions, but done within multiplayer. Even though they don't really do much other than basically unlock lore stories to the characters and things like that. They don't really do much in terms of like, it feels like a single player experience, which is fine. You know, it's a multiplayer game, obviously, but Yeah, and the other thing that I'm really excited for is I like the look of the archive. So, you know, me, I like to rip assets from Dead by Daylight and use them in VR chat. So I will be doing a lot of asset ripping and maybe even making a full-on map of the archive within VR chat that you guys can just kind of play around in and things like that. So I'm looking forward to a lot of these new assets that are going to be coming to the game. So, especially, like I said, the archive. Let's see. So yeah, like I said, what the archive is designed to do is basically have a sense of progression within a story. So that's what we are talking about when we talk about lore and things like that. So as you do these objectives, these missions that I'm talking about, you basically unlock parts of the story, either the main story of Dead by Daylight, from what I gathered, or it's going to progress the story of that character specifically, whether it be survivor or slasher. That's what I'm getting out of it, so that's pretty cool. I would like to hear more about the Dead by Daylight story in general, though, how the entity came about, and things like that, and what it really is about. Not so much about survivors or killers lore, but I am still interested in unlocking those for myself just to get more of a background story of them. Alright, so let's go ahead and move on here. So yeah, the missions, we'll basically talk a little bit about the missions here. So they allow for more people using a wide variety of killers. This is basically what I've speculated when we talk about the missions for the archive. So because there's missions for every, what I'm assuming there's missions for every survivor and every character. This allows for a bigger variety of people to use not only the same killer over and over again, or not only the same survivor over and over again. They have to play that individual character, I'm going to be assuming, to basically unlock more of the progression for that character in terms of their story and their lore. So we won't see like a dozen hillbillies all the time, or a dozen nurses when we get to more of the rank ones. So hopefully, that's my speculation anyway. We won't be seeing a whole lot of that anymore, and people will want to work on their story progression for each individual killer or each individual survivor. So that's a good thing in terms of that. Now, let's go on and talk about the charms. So I look like I was completely wrong about the charms in general. Because I actually thought they were going to be tied to the anniversaries. So again, my speculations were wrong. Now that we got the charms, it seems like these charms, they show off basically a cosmetic. I'm assuming like there's going to be all kinds of different charms once each patch comes out for the game. So the charms allow for more difficulty missions. So say, for instance, you completed a very hard challenge for the Trapper, a mission, if you will. You basically unlock a charm for basically completing that mission, and you're allowed to put it on your hook. For survivors, it would be on your tool belt. And so you could basically just show that off every time you start a game. It's always going to have that charm on that hook or that charm on your tool belt. I personally don't really care for this. I think it's kind of silly in my opinion. I don't really agree with this. Again, it kind of ruins my whole immersion with the game. But then again, we have goofy ass outfits for all kinds of different survivors. So, well, I don't have one to say in this. So that's just a personal thing. Okay, and now let's go ahead and talk about the rifts, or yeah, they're just called rifts here. So it turns out that my speculation was a bit false on this one too. They have already confirmed that these aren't going to be pay to win, and it's just going to be strictly cosmetics. So good. I still don't personally like the idea of the whole rift thing because it's still kind of copying other systems, kind of like obviously Fortnite. It's basically the same thing, only you're getting cosmetics out of this. So that's just my own personal opinion. I don't really much care for this kind of system, but hey, you know, it's there. We got to live with it, and that is what it is. But the thing that is a little interesting when it comes to the Rift, though, is are these exclusive? Because it sounds, from what the developer was saying, is that it seems like these are timed, and that every time a chapter comes out, that you have about 3 months until the next chapter to complete that rift. Otherwise, that rift is completely gone. At least that's what it seems like that I was getting out of that. So you have no chance of getting those cosmetics anymore. And I don't know if they're exclusive cosmetics or they're existing cosmetics that are in the store. So until this comes out, I guess we won't really know. if whether or not these are going to be exclusive cosmetics, that is, or if these are going to be store ones. They could be exclusive, don't know. So, the game rework. By rework, I'm talking about the rank system. A second time now, I guess they're still not happy. I mean, I know most people are still not happy with the rank system. Personally, I don't really care for it. I don't care whether or not I get to rank 1 or not. As long as if I'm enjoying the game, I really don't care. Personal preference, personal opinion, just me. Freddy Freddy rework. So they showed off a little bit of Freddy and how his rework is kind of going. I'm with it. I haven't really seen too much gameplay from what they've shown off, but it seems like there's 2 different stages of sleep now. So there's kind of like a slight sleep, and then there's basically full-on sleep. And if you're in like a slight sleep, you can kind of see him phase in and out. The further he is away from you, like your terror radius, then he'll phase out. If he gets closer to you, he'll phase back in. It's kind of something like that. So, and then I guess if you go on to full on sleep, then you have 0 terror radius from him, and it plays the lullaby. And I don't know if whether or not you can see him again or not. I don't remember. It's a little fuzzy. But the cool things about him, though, that's what I wanted to touch up the most on, was you can basically set fake palettes, and fake palettes are like, whew, that's really cool. You can kind of fake people out. It's like the developer was kind of saying, it's not like the Doctor per se, because you can basically set specific palettes around the map that you're allowed to set on the map, and basically it's kind of a mind game thing with the survivors, where once they go into sleep mode, they got to know that, oh, those pallets are actually fake, because when you're out of sleep mode, you don't see those pallets that Freddy placed on the map. They only exist in sleep mode. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see the kind of mind games, and you got to remember that those pallets are actually fake when you enter sleep mode. So cool on you guys for actually doing that. That's a really cool strategy there. And then they have some kind of like trap snares or something like that. I don't remember what those quite do, so I kind of left them out in my notes. What was most important to me was the teleporting to generators. Let's see, now on my notes here we have the map rework. So palette distribution. I thought this was a much better idea. So we're eliminating big loops basically for pallets, and we're now introducing more pallets on the map again. However, they're going to be more short, and you have to use them wisely, because basically, I mean, if they're a shorter loop, then the killer can get to you much easier. Even though you drop that pallet, all he has to do is just go around it, or he can psych you into vaulting over that pallet, and he can quickly kill you after that. So I personally think this is a much better idea in my opinion, but until we see it actually on PTB and live to see if this actually works, is when we'll actually get the better results. Alright, now we're going to go on and talk about Ghostface here. So Ghostface has one ability, as do all killers, and it's called Night Shroud. And so we've already seen leaked images and videos of basically his power and play. It's no different from what they've showed off basically in the videos. So basically, you have to stalk a survivor to up to 4 seconds, though this may change because of the different add-ons that he may have. So you stalk a survivor, I am assuming off of default, for 4 seconds, and then become status exposed. So that's going to be very interesting, and it might be very overpowered. We don't know until PTB comes out. So the thing that's really cool though, and that people are going to have to really play strategic with them, is that anytime a survivor looks at him while he is stalking a survivor, his stalking on that specific survivor in general will go all the way down to 0. So you have to stalk very carefully. This allows for a lot of hide and seek kind of things with Ghostface, so I look forward to that. And so we're going to talk about his perks now. His perks, he has 3 perks, as do most all killers. And the first one is I'm all ears, and so I'm just going to read these off specifically based off of my notes that I've gotten from the developer. And so when you performed a rushed action, as a survivor that is, so anytime a survivor jumps over a window quickly or vaults over a pallet quickly, drops a pallet, things like that, it will basically... this is also outside of his terror radius, mind you. So if if the survivor is away from his terror radius, then that's when this perk will be activated. basically when this happens is when the survivor's aura will then appear to you. So let me go ahead and rephrase that for you guys. So say I'm survivor, I'm out of your terror radius, I vault over a window or I drop a pallet away from you, pretty far away I'm assuming. You will then get a indication, a aura reading on that survivor, and you can basically go over there and go bitch smack them. So I don't know about this in general, how I feel about it. Most people, most survivors, including myself, don't really perform rushed actions in general unless we're being in a chase, so I don't know how this is really going to be useful unless you're a fucking rank 20. So basically, if a survivor is vaulting over a window or dropping pallets, like, what are you doing? You know, like you shouldn't be doing that unless you're in a chase. So I don't know if this perk's going to be that useful, but that's a personal opinion. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the second one, and that is Thrilling Tremors. And so this one's a little interesting. So if you picked up a down survivor or you interrupt them, so say they're on a generator or they're just down and you pick them up, any gens that aren't being worked on will then be blocked from survivors from repairing them for up to a maximum of 16 seconds by what it looks like. This may or may not be useful. I don't really know, because say a survivor, like maybe like 3 survivors or 2 survivors were working on a generator, and for whatever reason they stop working on the generator, and you go and pick up a down survivor. Well, then that generator they were once working on will then become what I'm assuming is blocked. So that gives you 16 seconds of them not working on that very same generator. Personally, I don't see how this could be that useful. In general, I think the best perk, instead of using this one in terms of Ghostface, is Discordance, which is a perk from Legion, which you guys know, it gives you an indication when 2 or more survivors are working on a generator. So I think that perk would be better than this one. That's just a personal opinion. So the next perk and the final perk for Ghostface is Furtive Chase. And so basically, once you've hooked the obsession, so whenever you've downed the obsession, hooked them, you gain some tokens up to a maximum of 4. So it goes 2, 3, and 4, depending on your rank on the perk and how much you've leveled it up. So what this does is basically it reduces your terror radius by 4 meters, while you're in a chase, to up to a maximum of 16 that I've calculated. So this is going to be very interesting in general as well when it comes to basically being able to stalk survivors a lot more effectively. So you say, for instance, you throw the obsession on a hook, and then you know where there's 2 survivors that are working on a generator. Well, if you play it carefully and you can kind of stay hidden, they're not going to get that terror radius. So once you're stalking them, they're not going to get the terror radius, so you're going to be able to stalk them a lot better by peeking around trees, and then it's a lot easier for you to get them exposed, unless they're looking around their environment while they're on the generator. Then that could be a problem. So it's an kind of situation with this. Personally, I don't really like perks like this. I never really use them, because 9 times out of 10 I'm not really going after the obsession. I'm going after just people that are going on generators. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting with these perks and what kind of perk builds we're going to get when it comes to other killers, and how this may play into other killers. So that's it for Ghostface. Okay, as a final closure for what I wanted to see in the developer stream, was I was really hoping that I would see a cosmetic or more licensed cosmetic announcements, and specifically for Leatherface, because I really wanted a Pretty Woman Leatherface cosmetic. That is something I was hoping to hear more of as in terms of licensed cosmetics, but I didn't hear anything for that, so I'm a little saddened by that. But maybe in the future, if they ever get the licensing for it, I hope to see it in the game very soon. And then the other thing was going to be NECA figures. My god, I wanted to hear more merchandising for this game. I feel like a lot of the merchandising on their website's kind of rubbish. I don't think a lot of the stuff that I see on their website is very appealing, in my opinion. But you are sitting on a cash cow if you make NECA figures. Contact NECA, man. Have them make you figures, because I will be buying every single fucking one of them. Doesn't matter if it's not a character I don't like. I want to collect them all, man. I love this game that much that I'd be willing to put them on my headboard over there. So, Behavior, NECA, come together, make some figures, because I'm all here for you. Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Hopefully you found it constructive. Any questions, any comments, any concerns that you have from what you've seen from the developer stream, I'm all ears. I like to get back to you guys as quickly as possible. I try to make it as quickly as possible. I'm a fairly small YouTube channel, so it's very easy for me to get through all the comments and give my thoughts and opinions on it. So with that, guys, things are looking very bright for Dead by Daylight, and I am very happy and I am very glad that we're getting an archive. I'll see you guys later. Have a good one.